Hello everyone, this is Dr. Akshita. The topic for this session will be congenital anomalies of ureter and urinary bladder. Specific learning objectives are, at the end of the session, you all must be able to understand the normal anatomy and histology of ureter and urinary bladder, to enlist the congenital anomalies of ureter and urinary bladder, and you all must be able to describe the gross abnormality, clinical features and complications of different congenital anomalies, which are vesicoureteric reflex, double ureter, ureterocele, ectopia vesicae, urachal abnormalities, ureteropelvic junction obstruction and bladder diverticulum. Coming to anatomy of the ureters. Ureters are narrow, thick-walled expansile muscular tubular structures which are about 30 cm in length and about 0.5 cm in diameter. They extend from the renal pelvis to the urinary bladder, that is up to the vesicoureteric junction. Normally, they enter obliquely into the posterior lateral wall of the base of the urinary bladder. The ureters are compressed during micturition, which prevents the vesicoureteric reflex. Ureters lie retroperitoneally throughout their course. So this is the gross image. So here we can see the ureters which are extending from the renal pelvis and entering obliquely into the posterior lateral wall of the base of the urinary bladder. Histology of ureter. Ureter is composed of mucosa, muscularis layer and adventitial layer. Mucosa, it is lined by transitional epithelium and it contains lamina propria underneath. So below that there is a muscularis layer which contains smooth muscle. There are three layers: inner longitudinal, middle circular and outer longitudinal layer of smooth muscle. And the outermost layer is adventitia, which contains fibrous tissue. This is the microscopic image of the ureter. So we can see the lumen in the center, and the epithelium is made up of transitional type of epithelium, and underneath the epithelium there is presence of lamina propria. So below that there is a layer of smooth muscle, and the outermost layer is the fibrous tissue layer or the adventitia. So that is about ureter. And next, moving on to the anatomy of urinary bladder. Urinary bladder is a hollow, highly distensible and rounded organ of the urinary system, which is situated anteriorly in the pelvic cavity. The main function, as we know, it is to collect, temporarily store and expel urine. It has an apex, a body, fundus and the neck. Apex is located superiorly and it points towards the pubic symphysis. It is connected to the umbilicus by median umbilical ligament, the remnant of which is called urachus, and it has body, which is the main part of the bladder. It is located between the apex and the fundus. The fundus is located posteriorly. It is triangular in shape with tip of the triangle pointing backwards. And the urinary bladder also has a neck which is formed by the convergence of fundus and two inferolateral surfaces. And what you have to remember is there is an area called trigone in the urinary bladder. It is the posterior inferior triangular area which is present in the bladder wall. It is formed by imaginary lines which connect the two posterior ureteral openings and the anterior urethral opening. Normally, the capacity of the urinary bladder is about 400 to 500 ml of urine without overdistension. Micturition is partly a reflex and partly it is a voluntary act under the control of sympathetic and parasympathetic innervation. So in this picture, we can see the ureters entering into the posterior lateral wall of the urinary bladder. And the urinary bladder, we can see the presence of detrusor muscle, which is the smooth muscle layer of the bladder. And we can also see there is trigone, which is present in the posterior inferior area of the urinary bladder wall, which is formed by imaginary line that connect the two posterior ureteral opening and the anterior urethral opening. There is also presence of internal urethral sphincter and the external urethral sphincter. Histology of urinary bladder. So urinary bladder is made up of three layers. It has mucosa, muscularis and adventitial layer. Mucosa, it contains the epithelium and the lamina propria. Epithelium is made up of transitional epithelium, or it's also called as urothelium. It is about 6 to 7 layer thickness. The superficial layer of this urothelium is called as umbrella cells, and these cells are larger. They are in the form of a row and they have abundant eosinophilic cytoplasm. So below this epithelial layer there is lamina propria. So this will compose mucosa. So below this mucosa there is muscularis propria. The greater part of the bladder wall is made up of muscular layer, which is called as the detrusor muscle, which has three coats. It has inner longitudinal, middle circular and outer longitudinal layer. So above that, the outermost layer is the adventitial layer, which is made up of fibrous tissue. This is the microscopic image showing the normal histology of urinary bladder. So we can see the mucosa, which is made up of transitional type of epithelium, also called as urothelium. So below that there is muscularis mucosa and lamina propria. And below the lamina propria we have muscularis propria, which is made up of the detrusor muscle, which has three coats: inner longitudinal, middle circular and outer longitudinal layer. So the outermost layer is not seen in this picture, but it is adventitia, which is composed of fibrous layer. This is the higher magnification showing the transitional type of epithelium. So normally it is made up of about 6 to 7 layers in thickness, and we can make out the superficial epithelial layer is larger than the other cells. It is in the form of a row and they have abundant eosinophilic cytoplasm. These cells are called as the umbrella cells. Moving on to the congenital anomalies of ureter and urinary bladder. So first let's discuss about vesico-ureteric reflex. Vesico-ureteric reflex, it is the retrograde flow of urine from the urinary bladder to the upper urinary tract. Incompetent vesico-ureteral orifice, it allows the reflex of urine from the urinary bladder into the ureters. Normally, the ureteral insertion into the bladder is like a one-way valve, which prevents the retrograde flow of urine when the intravesical pressure is raised as in micturition. Incompetent vesico-ureteral valves, it allows the bacteria to ascend the ureter into the renal pelvis, causing pyelonephritis. It is an important predisposing factor in ascending infections of the kidneys. So incidence, it affects about 1 to 2% of otherwise normal children. Based on the etiology, there are two types of vesico-ureteral reflex. We have primary reflex and secondary reflex. Primary reflex, here the reflex is due to the congenital absence or shortening of the intravesical portion of the ureter. The ureter is not compressed during micturition, which leads to reflex. Bladder and ureter remain normal. Reflex occurs even though there is low pressure urine profile in the urinary bladder. Secondary reflex, here the reflex occurs due to the bladder dysfunction. So this dysfunction can be congenital or it can be acquired. So this picture shows the different grades of vesico-ureteral reflex. The first image, it is normal, in which the ureters are normal, there is no reflex. So the second picture, there is grade 1 reflex. In this, the urine is refluxing into the ureter only. In grade 2, there is urine reflux into the ureter and into the renal pelvis also, but there is no distension. In grade 3, there is reflux into the ureter and into the renal pelvis, and there is mild distension of the ureter. In grade 4, there is reflux into the ureter and into the renal pelvis, and there is moderate distension. In grade 5, there is severe distension and there is also twisting of the ureter. So these are the different grades of vesico-ureteral reflex. Clinical features of vesico-ureteral reflex. Due to the vesico-ureteral reflex, there is presence of residual urine in the urinary tract even after voiding. So this will favor bacterial growth and there will be features of urinary tract infection. So the different symptoms with which the patient may present with are fever, flank pain, renal failure, and in infants there can be palpable renal mass also. Coming to the investigations, reflex can be demonstrated radiographically by avoiding cystourethrogram. The bladder is filled with a radiopaque dye and the films are taken during micturition. So by this we can make out the presence of vesico-ureteral reflex. So that's about vesico-ureteral reflex. So now moving on to the second congenital anomaly, that is double ureter. Double ureter, it is a condition in which the entire ureter or only the upper part of the ureter, it is duplicated. Double ureter, it is invariably associated with double renal pelvis, one in the upper part and the other in the lower part of the kidney. There are two forms of double ureter. It can be incomplete or complete. So in incomplete double ureter, there are two separate ureters which are attached to the same kidney, but they join together at some distance away from the kidney to form a single ureter before entering the bladder. Whereas in complete form, what happens is there will be two separate ureters and they will never join. So they remain separate even during insertion into the bladder. So this is complete double ureter. Ureteral development begins in the fetus around 4th week of embryonic life. Ureteric bud which gives rise to the ureter either splits or it arises twice in a case of double ureter. So this is the embryonic abnormality. Complications. Patients will usually present with features of UTI or they can be hydronephrotic kidney which may present as palpable abdominal mass in the newborn. So this is the gross image. So here one of the kidneys is normal, the other kidney we can make out the presence of two ureters. There is the double ureter and also there are two renal pelvis, one attached to the upper pole and the other one present in the lower pole. And this is a complete form of double ureter because the two ureters arising from the renal pelvis remain separate even when it is getting inserted into the urinary bladder. So this is the complete form of double ureter. So next, moving on to the third anomaly, we have ureterocele. Ureterocele is a congenital abnormality which is found in the ureter. In this condition, there is cystic dilatation of the terminal part of the ureter which lies within the bladder wall. The cystic dilatation lies beneath the bladder mucosa and it can be visualized during cystoscopy. Most of the ureteroceles are diagnosed prenatally during antenatal scans itself. Clinical features are frequent UTI, pyelonephritis, obstructive symptoms, urinary retention, failure to thrive, hematuria, or there can be stones in the bladder, that is urolithiasis. Diagnosis is during cystoscopy. So this is the gross image showing ureterocele in the urinary bladder. So in the insert you can see there is ureter and at the terminal part of the ureter there is cystic dilatation. So this is called ureterocele. So moving on to the next congenital anomaly, we have ectopia vesicae or exstrophy. This is a rare condition which occurs due to the congenital developmental deficiency of anterior wall of the bladder. It is associated with splitting of the overlying anterior abdominal wall which results in exposed interior of the bladder. There may be prolapse of the posterior wall of the bladder through the defect in the anterior abdominal wall and the defect in the anterior bladder itself. Exstrophy means inversion of a hollow organ. This condition in males is associated with epispadias in which the urethra opens on the dorsal aspect of the penis. If the defect is not properly repaired, the exposed bladder mucosa gets infected repeatedly and it will undergo squamous metaplasia with subsequent increased tendency to develop carcinoma of the urinary bladder. So the other abnormalities seen in this case are separation of the pubic symphysis, shortening of the pubic rami, external rotation of the pelvis, and in females there will be narrowed vaginal orifice, bifid clitoris and divergent labia. So in this picture we can see this presence of ectopia vesicae, also called as exstrophy. So here the anterior abdominal wall is defective and the bladder is exposed outside. So next we have urachal abnormalities. Urachus is a fibrous remnant of the allantoins, which is a channel between the urinary bladder and the umbilicus, where the urine initially drains in the fetus during the first trimester of pregnancy. The channel of the urachus usually seals off and obliterates around 12th week of gestation, which leaves behind a small fibrous cord between the urinary bladder and the umbilicus, which is called the median umbilical ligament. So disorder of this urachus occurs when there is abnormality with the sealing off of the channel during any fetal development. The symptoms are there will be drainage of urine from the umbilicus, or there can be redness around the umbilicus or abdominal pain or features of UTI, that is urinary tract infection. Adenocarcinoma may develop in urachal cyst as a complication. So the different urachal abnormalities are there is urachal cyst. In this there is no connection between the urinary bladder and the umbilicus, but there is a fluid filled cavity which is present between these two structures, that is urachal cyst. Next we have urachal fistula. There is free communication between the bladder and the umbilicus, so it is completely patent. urachal sinus. This occurs when the urachus does not seal close to the umbilicus and leads to a blind ending tract or pouch which opens towards the umbilicus. Next we have urachal diverticulum. This occurs when the urachus did not seal close to the urinary bladder and leads to a blind ending tract from the bladder into the urachus. That is, the bladder exhibits outpouching. So this picture shows the presence of different urachal abnormalities. In the first picture, so there is a presence of urachal cyst. We have urinary bladder and the umbilicus. So in between these two structures, there is a cavity which is called the urachal cyst. In the middle image, there is presence of urachal sinus, which is seen as a blind ending tract or pouch which is opening towards the umbilicus. So patients with this urachal sinus will present with discharging urine through the umbilicus. So the third, we have urachal fistula. So here the communication between the bladder and the umbilicus is patent. Even these patients will have discharging urine. So next, moving on to ureteropelvic junction obstruction. Ureteropelvic junction obstruction, it is defined as obstruction to the flow of urine from the renal pelvis to the proximal ureter. So it's a congenital abnormality which is seen in children and adults. It usually manifests in infancy or childhood, much more common in boys. So it's more frequent cause of hydronephrosis in infants and children. It may also occur secondary to surgery or disorders that can cause inflammation and obliteration of the upper urinary tract. There is obstruction to the flow of urine from kidney to the ureter. So because of this, there will be accumulation of urine in the kidney which leads to hydronephrosis as a complication of ureteropelvic junction obstruction. So the different signs and symptoms are, there will be palpable abdominal mass in infants, and the patient may also present with urinary tract infection. There will be flank pain, kidney stones, hematuria, and in infants there will be poor growth. This is the gross image showing the obstructed ureteropelvic junction. So here we can see the renal pelvis which is dilated, and the patient will present with hydronephrosis as a complication. Next we have bladder or vesical diverticulum. Bladder diverticulum is a pouch-like evagination of the bladder wall. It may be congenital or it can be acquired. In congenital diverticulum, this will form when some of the bladder lining pokes through a weak part in the bladder wall. It is diagnosed in children and there is often only one. Acquired diverticulum, it will arise as a consequence of persistent urethral obstruction. For example, it can be caused by BPH. So if in a patient with BPH, there will be urethral obstruction. So because of this, there will be accumulation of urine in the urinary bladder. So this will lead to acquired diverticulum. This is usually seen in older men, and there will be more than one diverticulum in acquired cases, whereas in congenital, as I said earlier, there will be only one diverticulum. Complication: although most diverticula are small and asymptomatic, they sometimes will lead to urinary stasis and leading to urinary tract infection. And these patients can also have bladder stones, and rarely this can also lead to bladder tumors. So this is the gross image. So here we can see there is diverticulum of the bladder. So there are two diverticuli here. So it may be an acquired case of bladder diverticulum. So we have seen the different congenital anomalies in the ureter and the urinary bladder. So that's it for today's session. So the next session we'll see about the inflammatory disorders and tumors of the ureter and urinary bladder. Thank you all.